be recorded, and you will get a chance to see it afterwards if there's anything that you want to see or you felt like you missed something. My name is Chen. I'm the CEO for Geoteaming. We specialize in corporate team building and leadership programs that use technology and adventure. For over 20 years, we have been professing virtual team building and virtual teamwork. And you even got a chance to write a book about it, 50 digital team building games. But it's funny, the world wasn't ready, and now miraculously the world's ready. You guys are now part of an online phenomenon. I've sold out almost a dozen classes. I just opened more in April, and I'm gonna also open a level 2 course. So if you like what happened here, I have a limited set of level 2 courses that I can invite you to. But more importantly, you're here for virtual team building. So I'm gonna try and maximize the use of our 60 minutes here together, and 30 for some of you here. So we're gonna do virtual team building. Again, virtual team building, specifically what you're gonna do on this call is how to work with small teams, 2 to like maybe 20 at the max, how to maximize using platforms like this, such as Zoom. Again, Microsoft Teams and many other platforms, similar items can be used, but the principles are really what's key. And that's what I hope that you guys get out, that you as a group get out of today. So I'm going to open with this. This is the challenge with teams, is that these challenges with the teams are, for some parts, no different than they are in the face-to-face world, that old reality. But there are some new challenges with teams virtually online, and hopefully we get a chance to check in with each of you about what you're being challenged with, and of course, see if we have some solutions for you today. I mean, the number one thing here is communication. So communication online is very challenging, but here's the stat. Only 5.9% of your companies communicate their goals daily. You want to be a top 64% manager at the beginning of every morning, or at night, send it and then schedule it to send in the morning, your daily goals to your team. It sounds very simple. It was something I used to do at every meeting at Microsoft. I actually worked there for a decade. And it was amazing the difference that it made. But this is the stat. The research says only 5.9% of companies communicate their goals daily. The second one here is around collaboration. I actually just talked to a company here too in a previous call, and they just talked about how challenging it is to collaborate online. At Microsoft, I used to live in a building. It was one of the first 4 buildings on the campus, and it was formed in the shape of the X. And in the middle of the X was the bathrooms, the receptionist, and the mail room. And so everybody used to have to get out of their office at some point, and they would collide. When you're online, you don't have that, but you got to look for different ways of bumping into each other, whether it's chat or it's texting or it's something else. 39% of surveyed employees believe that their people in their own organization don't collaborate enough. And now wait till they all start working from home. Unless you really have some amazing online culture, you're probably in this 40% that doesn't collaborate enough. The next piece here is alignment. 67% of employees or executives believe that a lack of alignment within a team impacts the outcome of a task or a project. And now that we've all had our lives disrupted, it's very possible that the alignment that you had at the beginning is totally different than the alignment that you have now. Lots of people are having to adapt, and so you really need to be clear about this alignment. And you'll see how easy online it is to mistake that you do have clarity when somebody's thinking about something totally else inside of that. So that lack of alignment is something that blocks outcomes of tasks or projects. And one of the things that I think you're all here is trying to maximize your time online and trying to find some semblance of that. And of course, the number one challenge working with teams right now is working from home. It's mandated. If you did not hear, here in Washington State, Governor Inslee yesterday issued a stay home, stay healthy order, which is basically the same as a shelter in place for all of Washington State. And that's the minimum of 14 days. So for those of you who thought you were going to work next week, well, you're back here. But my favorite quote of the week is my friend from who we got on a Zoom call. It was a happy hour call, and he goes, hey, how does this Zoom thing work? I don't know how it works. I've only been on it for 14 hours today. So it was quite funny. Anyways, work from home mandated. And so these are the challenges I believe each of you are facing. But I have a solution here for you today, and I try to make it very simple. Every day as I go along a little more, this acronym says a little bit more to me about probably how I'm reacting to this, but it also is showing me a way out. This acronym is GRR, G-R-R-R. So the first part of the G here stands for Goals. So just like the statistics say, if you can clarify your goals, even about what you're just trying to achieve for the next hour or at your next team meeting, or more importantly for the next month or two, as we find our way through this crisis, clarifying your goal with your team is the #1 thing that you can do. Take the time, check people. At your next meeting, you can actually easily do a very check-in assignment and say, what do you think your goal is right now? And you'll probably hear, 3 or 4 or 5 different types of things like that. So #1 is goals. #2 is rules. If you're the person who is helping to manage this online conversation or be the facilitator to establishing a set of rules is really one of the key things that can help you guide through here and be efficient. The third thing is R stands for rhythm. And what I'm going to teach you is show you how your teams need to get in a rhythm. There's been a mass disruption to your regular rhythm to your work. Each of you can become online leaders despite your position. If you can help your group find this online rhythm, and you'll see that your work will start to grow and grow, exponentially grow in the right way. This is a curve that you want in terms of teamwork and team productivity. And so this is based on rhythm. And when you have those 3 things, the last thing you really get is results. That's the #1 thing you want to be looking for. These are the #1 stories you want to go back and share, which is when your team has a success of any kind online, start to share it, and it allows you to build upon it. To me, I'm a big race fan. Last year, I acquired a Porsche Boxster, and I love watching the F1 on Netflix. But this right here is a key piece of teamwork. Almost 20 people all know their jobs, right? They know the goals, they know the rules, right? They know that they have a rhythm to it because they practice it so much. And it allows them to achieve this, which is a complete pit stop, changing 4 tires, gassing up, and doing many other things, all in the span of 1.9 seconds. 1.9 seconds. So those are the key results. So I believe our goal here is to host a productive team meeting and establish the best team practices online. Hopefully you may have some other goals around that, but that's the goal I'm going to assume for this meeting here. So the next thing I'm going to teach you is a way to kind of do air traffic control for your conversations here online. Unlike our face-to-face conversations, where sometimes we could do sidebars, it was much easier here in Zoom land or in video conference land, right? Everybody's voice becomes the same, which is a good piece. But in terms of having side conversation, it's very difficult. If 2 or 3 or 4 people talk at the same time, it's very difficult to understand them. And quite often you have to go back and do it again. So this goes to my radio caller days. This is a team building initiative. It's called Go Ahead Caller. And so what you're going to do is, this is about establishing some online rules with this. So we're just going to establish a speaking rule. So if you are visual, have your camera on, you can raise your hand. If you don't, you can chat. You can hit me in the chat window, or you can unmute and say your name. So I'll acknowledge you, and then I'll establish an order. And what I'm going to have you do is tell me your name, where you're calling in from, and something that's happening to you today or the team challenge that you are facing. So there's 3 things. Again, your name, where you're from, and a team challenge that you're having. So for instance, my name is John Chen. I'm calling in from Seattle, Washington. And my team challenge is how to work with so many people from around the world in a short amount of time. By the way, I've gotten callers from Ireland and New Zealand, and I'll probably have some of those here today. So anyways, that's the assignment. If you have questions, you can hit me in the chat window. But let's see. Again, if you have a camera, please turn it on if you can. And if you would like to go next, we can do that. Let's see. That was Anne in the chat window. So again, if you'd like to introduce yourself, please raise your hand or hit me in the chat window or unmute and say your name. Anne, all right, excellent. Anne is here, so go ahead, Anne.
Oh, hi, I'm Ann Humes, and I wish that the screen was still up. I'm calling from Sammamish, Washington. My team challenge is we are, me and Sharva are working together on a virtual team gathering, workshop, summit, strategy planning session, you name it.
I love that, Anne. It's like we're working on that thingamajig that used to be called a conference.
Yeah, exactly. Sharva will have better words than I will.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much, Anne. And by the way, if you've seen that she's also found the raise hand button, that is actually, if you hit manage participants, you can raise her hand, and now I can lower her hand. So that's also a cool feature that we can do. Who would like to go next?
Hi, John. This is Sharva. I'll go next.
Excellent. Thank you, Sharva. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Sharba Brown. I am in Fairwood, Washington. And our team challenge, we have a global strategy workshop coming up that we were planning to do in person in Redmond. And now we're having to go all virtual. So across, I think, 5 or so time zones. And our challenge is how do we bring engagement and the experience for all those virtual time zones to life? So I'm looking for some options, ideas, gaming activities to keep people from falling asleep and multitasking. Because the information we're coming together to learn is critical for our business.
Excellent, thank you, Sharva. And these are the real challenges of getting people to, that what used to be easy and face-to-face. How do we stay engaged? And especially this conference, I think what I heard is you told me this conference used to be 4 days, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And now imagine trying to do 4 days, 32 hours of live conferencing. It's definitely a challenge. So I'm glad that you're here, and I hope you see something in this hour. Again, this is going to help with a small group, but I'll also share some later ideas with you later.
Awesome, thank you.
Excellent. Let's see, I'm going to get Kristen. Kristen F is calling here from Portland. She says her mic and video are not currently working, sad face, but my team struggle is getting everyone at the same time from various technical skill backgrounds. That's really a key. Also, how to bring a virtual array of engaging classes to the kids that we work with. Oh, excellent, Kristen. Hold on a second. Let me see. Kristen. Kristen, too. Sorry that you can also try a different computer, Kristen, or you can also call in by phone. I can chat that number. Otherwise, be on here on chat. Kristen works at the selfenhancement.org, which is Portland's largest African American community center. I had the opportunity to work with them. They have the most amazing story. They got 2 rival gangs where the building is in the center of to agree to not mess with the center. And they have abided by that agreement for over 20 years. If you ever go to Portland, you need to visit this place. It is amazing. So thank you, Kristen. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see. Kristen went. Who would like to go next? Let's go to Ariel and then Kelly. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Ariel. I'm calling in from New York. And something that I've been working on today is my plan to support my clients. I work in travel, so obviously there's not much going on in that realm. So I've just been focusing this week on different ways that I people that I was working with previously.
Excellent. Perfect, Ariel. Oh, and your internet blipped for a second, but we were able to complete your sentence. That's a real challenge that's happening now too, right? We were making a joke last week, and it may become reality, which is like, you want to see real panic? Wait till the internet dies. So anyways, thank you, Ariel, for calling in from New York. And I'm excited we're going to get a chance to collaborate later this week. We'll tell you a little more about it. You can hear from us. Okay, so we got Ariel. Let's go to Kelly in Oregon.
Hey everyone, I'm Kelly Jakes. I'm here down in Salem, Oregon. My business is I am a conference speaker, professional keynoter, workshopper, and I work a lot in women's health and as well as in oral health because my first degree was dental hygiene. So I'm working on 2 initiatives. I have 3 subcontractors I work with in my business that help me with social media and keeping me on brand, etc. And so we're two things I'm pivoting with my team right now. They've all been working with me virtually, so that's great. But one, I'm getting the message out to people such as you, is it Sharva, who are putting on virtual meetings because I am experienced in putting on virtual workshops and or educational, informational workshops and courses. So one, I'm trying to get a video. I'm working on a video and a Word doc to be able to email to all my past speaking event professionals. And then those have already contacted me for 2021 and 2022. One, to get the message out. I am your gal. I can do it. We can do this online. And then the second thing is I'm working with my team and another mentor to try to put many of my keynotes and workshops in some kind of online offering. So I can still continue to empower and inspire and educate people, but all online and not on a stage. So those are the two things I'm working with. It's a lot. I feel like it's a lot of juggling and pivoting right now, pivoting all the focus.
So Kelly is also the current president for the National Speakers Association in Oregon.
Yes.
And I'm contracted to speak there in 2021.
Yay!
But, you know, Kelly also recently, we should all applaud her. If I believe she at least has passed cancer treatment and possibly has beaten cancer. Did I hear that right, Kelly?
Yeah, I had my surgery February 14. I'm breast cancer free. Yay!
So,
on the healing end of things, thank you. Nearly 6 weeks out. So I've also been juggling that. So, you know.
Kelly's an underachiever too. So I just wanted to put that out. So one of the things, if you haven't seen, for those who are not sign language adept, I'm very little. But one thing they did teach me, right? This is applause, and this is quite useful on Zoom, so that you don't have to cloud the mic, but it is a way to applaud for somebody. So you'll see that quite often in a few calls, or you can teach people that. Thank you so much, Kelly. Great challenges. Also, I want to know one thing. What mic are you using? Because if you can hear, Kelly also has a great presence on vocally, just like Sharva does. So Kelly, what mic are you using?
Actually, I just ran up here from lunchtime, so I'm literally yelling at my computer.
Oh, well then Kelly's just projecting. So that's fantastic. Okay, who would like to go next? What a pro. So again, if you're on the mic, you can unmute. And so, oh, good, we got two. So I'm gonna go Bree and then Darren. So Bree, go ahead.
Hi all, I'm Bree. I'm here in Seattle, Washington too. I work for a construction engineering firm on our talent development L&D team. So in the last, 3-4 weeks, my team, as part of our larger HR team, has been tasked with creating all the resources for employees, managers, as they transition to fully remote operations across the country. So everything from how to lead effective team meetings, how to successfully lead teams, and more. So I guess I'm here just to absorb some new tips, tricks, and bring back to my team to apply within our upcoming webinars and resources.
Bree, thank you so much for joining. Bree, can I actually mention your company name? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
So Bree is at McKinstry, and to say they do HVAC is totally the minor statement, but they're responsible for a lot of the largest buildings and operations of the largest buildings, not only in Seattle and around. And so if the coronavirus doesn't get us, Bree's helping us save us from greenhouse gases by how much they reduce in the building. Thank you for being here, Bree. Let's head to Darren Nerlin.
Hi, everybody. My name is Darren, and I work for a company called Degreed. It's a learning experience platform company, and it's interesting because we're a platform company that specializes in online learning. The challenge that I've had is we've had lots of customers trying to ramp up on upskilling. So not just Degreed as a platform has seen an increase in interest, but how do we help our customers help their internal clients to upskill in many different ways? And so it's not just remote teamwork. It's about how do I get a web developer to be better at becoming a data scientist or something like that. So lots of just people thinking about the future now of what employment looks like, and doing some upskilling in their workforce today. So kind of interesting.
Excellent. Thank you, Darren. And Darren also is one of the co-creators of a conference here called Learnapalooza. It's one of the largest innovation and disruption. It's funny, Darren, you've been saying disruption for years, but now look, you're the master. Innovation and disruption in the training industry. And so Darren has also worked at the Bill and Melinda Gates and for the local ATD chapter, Association of Talent Development. So if you want to meet somebody in the learning space, hang out with Darren. Darren, hopefully later you'll share the Degreed. I actually got a chance to try the product Degreed, and it's really interesting on how much it can do online. So thank you, Darren. Let's see who else would like to go next.
Hi, this is Gretchen.
Go ahead, Gretchen.
So I'm joining from Minneapolis. So it's afternoon for me versus lunchtime for all of you. But I work at a law firm, and prior to this, I worked at a global company where remote work was very common and did it for a very long time. But now at a law firm setting where remote work is really not typical, we are all working remotely. And part of it is, I think, trying to ensure that my team understands some good guidelines for working remotely, as well as just some fun things that we can do to promote collaboration, continued communications, as well as continuing morale boosters. So that's kind of what I'm joining for today.
Thank you, Gretchen. And I believe this, you're logged in twice, once on the phone and once online, correct?
Yes.
Perfect. So Gretchen really mentioned something that's really important at this, what I believe this critical stage. I run a number of other online conversations, keeping groups together, and the mental health issue, we're right about to the stage. Either people have already broken down or they're about to break down, because the amount, like the adrenaline from the initial hit of just trying to scramble and make stuff happen is about to wear off. And you know, if anybody's been through, you know, a traumatic situation in their past, they kind of know what we're talking about. And then it wears off, and then you go like, oh, this is my new reality. Right? And then you really have to deal with it. So I think that's something that you really need to look at inside of that. Let's see. Oh, Jen Clifton, are you online?
Hi,
Did I already, did I introduce you yet? I don't think I did yet, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, please go.
Hi, I'm Jen Clifton. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. Tomorrow is the first day of our official statewide stay-home order, so this is the first day I've been working from home. I work for the Indiana State Library, so I'm a government employee, and our library actually supports the 236 public libraries around the state. So not only do we have our own internal staff that I'll need to be keeping in touch with over the next few weeks, but also pushing information out to the public libraries so that they can continue to operate the best they can, even though they're all at home now. And yeah, I was just looking for we're already doing a little bit of Zoom and Teams meetings, but I just need some more ideas on how to stay connected with my staff.
And you know, Jen, I have a special thanks for you.
Oh yeah.
So Jen Clifton actually posted this to the library journal.
Yes.
And it really had like spurred on the, there are many librarians I'm meeting across the country and around the world because of you. So I just want to personally say thank you for doing that. She was looking for resources. Many other libraries have been asking people like her for what resources do we have for working online. And she found mine and put it up the top. And you're actually a key reason. I'm going to tell you now a somewhat personal story. It hasn't been signed, so I don't know yet, but my publisher for that book came back to me after he saw that and other things and said, would you like to rewrite this book? So I actually have a proposal to my publisher who's been ignoring me for the last 2 years. So it's great. Okay, well, I believe I got everybody. If I missed anybody, oh, Sharp. Oh yes, applause. Thank you, Sharva. If I missed anybody, please let me know. I believe I've got everybody. So let's head back online. Here we go. So this is go ahead caller. So one of the keys around here is that now you can see we kind of have an order. We have a chance to check in with everybody. We now know something around each other. Go ahead caller is really one of my first pieces that I do with an online group, especially if I don't know them or it's just like it's new and establishing. And by establishing that role, it really seems to make and help that group quite a bit. Now, the next thing we're going to do is start the back channel chat. So, you know, for those of us who like to think out loud, or for those of us who, you know, want to say something, we actually might be introverted, but you want to say something without disturbing the rest of the group. I teach people that the chat room is a place to do that. So I'm going to establish just a few rules with the chat. I show people where the chat window is. I encourage them to use it when others are speaking. And I actually do this in other people's Zoom webinars. If they don't do it, I start chatting and I find out who I meet. And it turns out that I end up networking and I find up usually finding the real people that I want to meet that is like not the speaker. It's like somebody else that's online. Again, it can help extroverts get ideas out. It can help introverts really get a chance to place to speak without having to be on camera. And it's really around creativity and engagement. So I'm really going to start this right here. So if you go to your chat window, if you can't find it, there's a little button next to the share. It says chat. And what you want to do is chat either your company's, or I'm sorry, your LinkedIn profile or your company's website. So again, your LinkedIn profile or your company's website. So I'm putting mine in here too, so you can connect with me if you like. LinkedIn.com. Excellent. Darren has put in Degreed. Keep track here. There we go. I have gone. Bree says McKinstry. Kelly has put, oh, oops. I chatted to Kelly privately, so I have to watch this and make sure I chat this publicly. That's a Zoom piece. If someone chats you privately, it sets it to them directly. Sharva says, oops, I'll make a hyperlink. Ariel is in. Good. Let's see. Sharva has chatted. And waiting for Gretchen. Jen Clifton has chatted. Did Gretchen go? Did I miss it? Hold on one second. Sharva. Oh, Gretchen. Gretchen asks, is my book available digitally? Absolutely. So you can get a Kindle version. Actually, after this, you will get a link to the first 3 chapters. Why? Because I like you. Ann Hume says Trillium. Jen Clifton and Gretchen are in. I know that Kelly's in. And did I see Kristen? Kristen, have you chatted yet? Oh, yes, of course you did. I see you there. Okay. Excellent. So I think we got everyone. So this is now you know where the chat is, and it's a place where you can do that and really use this as a back channel. So sometimes really fine, like in this case here too, the chat log is really valuable. You can click the file button, or after this, you'll get a link to the final chat log for this. And you see when people meet online like this, they find interest going, oh, I want to meet that person and that person. This is one of the ways that you can help facilitate that. So let's move along. So now that you know the back channel chat, we can actually move into our first team building initiative. So now I'm going to give you the assignment. You can ask me questions around it. But now we want to look around team building. And so remember, again, I want you to play doctor and patient during this part. And patient means that I want you to be in this experience like one of your team members. The doctor in you, though, should be like, look for the team dynamics that are happening with your own group and how they relate to your own group that is working online now. The assignment will be this. You're going to chat A to Z. You're going to do it. You have to do it. You cannot chat twice. So if Gretchen chats, right, Gretchen can't just chat again. Gretchen also can't chat A, B, C, D, F, D all the way through, right? So you can only do one letter at a time. Has to be someone else, cannot chat twice. You've got to restart if you missed a letter or you repeated a letter. So if it goes A, B, C, C or A, B, C, F, right, you're going to have to restart. While you're chatting A to Z, you can't talk. But if you missed a letter, you guys can talk on the mic until somebody hits A. And then once you start again, then you can't talk. If you'd like to ask me any questions, now is the time. You can do that verbally.
John, this is Sharva.
Go ahead, Sharva.
Okay, so I'm really trying to follow this, but I'm not quite sure. So chat A to Z, one letter at a time. Does that mean I'm just typing in the letter A? Somebody then types B, somebody types C, and so on and so forth?
Yes.
Got it. I'm just clarifying. Thanks.
Nope.
No, I didn't understand either. Thank you. But I can do like B and then T and then, you know, just not next to each other. Mine, right?
That's correct. You can chat more than once, I think is your question.
Thank you.
Yes, you can. Anybody else? Any other questions? Oh, Ariel has chatted A, so now you guys can't talk. And you get to restart. You get 3 restarts, Bree, Sharva, Bree. EP, Jen, Bree. No, Sharva, they have to stop. You repeated 2 letters. GI. Thank you, Sharva. Ariel. Kelly. KK. So I'm going to help you out at this point. We can pause for a second. What's one of the key rules that you're not using?
We didn't establish the rules.
Was verbal a rule? We can use verbal or no?
You can, here, I'll help you out. I'm going to put it back up. If you missed a letter, you can talk until someone chats A to start.
Ah.
So you guys can talk, right? And Kristen says hands up. Yeah, Kristen, do you have something you want to add? Oops, she's still on mute.
So John, are you saying that instead of being completely silent and doing this exercise, we can talk to one another about who's going to do the next letter?
You can't talk during A to Z if you saw the rules. You can talk in between. So every try is like ABC, right? Whatever.
Yep.
But as soon as you start chatting A, you can't talk. But if you, now, because you're before you started chatting A, you can say whatever you like.
Okay, got it.
Is
Can
it?
I say I think this is a very frustrating task?
You can say that.
Are we allowed to come up with a pattern and kind of beat the system?
Yes, Ariel, do it. Tell us the pattern.
Okay, so let's do it alphabetical. Everybody gets a number and just pay attention to the person before you and the person after you. So Anne would be number 1. I would be number 2. Bree would be number 3. Sharva would be number 4. Darren would be number 5. Let me do my alphabets. Gretchen would be next. Then it would be Jen. Oh, we have 2 Jens. Do we have 2 Jens or 1 Jen? Okay, then it would be Jen Clifton. Then it would be Kelly. Did I get everybody? Anne, did I include you? Did I skip you? I think I got everybody. Okay.
Well, then I just wait till Jen Clifton puts it up and then I put up the next letter.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. This is Sharva. So I'm number 4.
Okay.
So I know my first letter, but in order for me to get this right, in case I forget name, how many of us are there?
Well, there's 2 Gretchens. Is that on purpose, John, or is that the same person?
It's the same person. She's logged in on her computer and her phone, but Gretchen is only one person.
Okay.
So then there's 9 of us.
Okay.
But I would say just pay attention to the person before you.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be the best way to go.
Okay. So I'm sorry, who was number 3?
Bree.
Okay, Bree. All right.
And is Jen the last? No, Kelly? Kelly, are you the last or is Kristen the last? Because I'm the
I don't
third.
know. All I know is I follow Jen Clifton.
Okay.
Kristen F is the last.
Okay. Got
So
it.
once Kristen F goes, then it's Anna's turn. Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Perfect. That's what I needed. Thank you.
Okay, I was going to follow Gretchen, but it looks like she has to leave. So can someone remind me who came before me?
So it'd be Anna, Ariel, Bree, Sharva, Darren, Jen, Kelly, Kristen, Anne.
Thank you.
Sorry, Anne. I think I added to your name.
That's okay. All right. Are we ready to start?
So then Anna's our 9th person. Anna is our first.
Nope. Ann and Anna are the same person.
That was my.
It's all me.
So Anne is number 1.
Right.
Okay. And there is no number 9.
I'll type them so that we have them there. A, B, C, D. Okay. A, B, Chen. Okay. So, oh, I spelled your name wrong, Kristen. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So then they're there, and then you just start over again. How about that?
Perfect. Are we ready to start?
Ready.
Bravo. So if you want, you can unmute. And so one, congratulations. And I would love people's observations, like what was happening for them on their side while this was going on.
Well, for me, I had to pay attention to what was happening in the window and keep track of who was just before me, and then calculate the next letter, which actually was harder than I thought it would be.
This is like, remember like the teamwork that we showed you, you know, like where it's the pit stop, you have this one position, you have to do it right. Many people remark when doing this, you know, they feel some anxiety or pressure around it. But the other part that you get here, this is really important for Sharva and Ann, you got engagement. People were like glued, right? This is the ability to focus attention on certain items. So thank you for sharing that, Darren. Who else? Anybody else has any key observations from their seat?
The rules, I think somebody mentioned it because I said something and we got started, we didn't get all of the rules. And so we didn't all fully understand what we were doing.
Even with Sharva, right, actually clarified the assignment, which most groups don't do, by the way, Sharva. But people forget about the rules they have available to them. And so it's so easy online to forget what you have available to you. You get used to using something like in a certain way, and people forget they have other tools, you know, and you really need to remember that, right? I guess we're so used to it in face-to-face, but here and online, you got to remember when you can use your resources. This is why you can see those who have their cameras on. It's such a huge advantage, right? To be able to see how people are reacting to this, say like here, Sharva's and Kelly are doing me kind favors, which is they're giving me head nods. So I kind of know that. Ariel just smiled. So I know that whatever I said was kind of funny, right? And so I get that. But when your people don't have cameras on, if you're the facilitator, puts you at a big disadvantage because you really can't tell what they're doing. They could be doing the stock market. They could be doing their toenails. They could be doing, you know, petting their dog, which might be good, but they might not be paying attention, and you just don't know. Or they might be acutely paying attention and you still don't know. So that's something that's also interesting. Thank you for that. Who else? Let's go to Kelly.
Well, that assignment made us pay attention. Like I couldn't be off doing my other emails because I had to pay attention. And, you know, I appreciated, is it Ariel?
Ariel.
She took the lead. After we had the initial, she took the lead and said, okay, I'm going to organize you guys. And I'm like, thank God, because we need someone.
You know, I think this is something that's so important too, is like here, like in many team exercises, you level the playing field because nobody's ever done it before, right? And so you look for leaders like this. All right, so and I'll compliment you, Ariel. Your ability to take charge of this is something that everybody wants, by the way, too, right? We're just like, you saw what happened when there was no system. And I was actually amazed. I'm gonna compliment you guys. You guys got all the way to P without talking to each other. I have no idea how you did that. Most people only get to D or E. But Charva, you'll love this story. This amazing woman from Detroit. She helps organize dinner parties, and of course she can't do that now. But she found my system. She called in yesterday. Man, you want to talk about take charge? She's got that Detroit spirit, right? And she was the first thing before she said anything else. Before everyone started, she goes, "What? I got an idea. Do you mind if I like try and lead this thing?" And so she's actually one of the only groups where they actually talk through the whole system before they attempted it the first time. So, you know, amazing pieces of leadership. So out of that, you know, what did you guys learn? Is anything that you learned about working as teams online?
John, this is Sharva. So just my observation, first of all, I'm a person who I really need clarity, and I have been learning over the years to not make assumptions. And I think sometimes when we come together as groups, we do make assumptions, whether it's someone's title or whether their credentials or, but all of that goes out of the window when you're introducing something new to the equation. And everybody needs to have a position that it's okay to ask until they get that clarity. And then just by natural selection, right? So I said, hey, clarify the rules. And then Ariel jumped in and said, okay, let's do the following. And then all I was doing behind the scenes was taking notes. That's why I was like, okay, who's first? Because I just wanted to know how many of us are there so I could number my alphabets, right? I don't want to miss the turn. But the other thing that I thought was really good is everyone was chiming in and talking and making sure they understood. And I think sometimes we have this tendency to think, well, we're all smart. I can't ask that question. I'll seem really stupid, or I'm the only one that's not getting this and everybody else gets it. So the fact that we all chimed in and just made sure that we understood even after the fact, the first question was asked, was huge. And I think that having the virtual presence, like what we're all going to be facing, is so important to remind each other. It's okay to ask the question again. It's okay to get clarity. And then from a rules perspective, I think it's really good to establish what's okay and what's not, so you can move forward.
Thank you, Sarva. The asking questions is the #1 thing I've seen in my 23 years of face-to-face team building, is that the top 20% teams will ask questions when I give them assignment. If you ever see my facilitator guide, you'll see after I tell you what the goals for the event, it says pause for an uncomfortably long period of time, waiting for people to ask questions. And so you don't blow over it, right? And so you really give the people the opportunity, especially the introverts. They need that couple extra seconds more. And when I hear no questions, right, I can start to predict how that team performed. If they ask no questions, which by the way is the average, you fall into the 80%, right? And the 80%, they go completely competitive. They don't collaborate. They don't think of any out of the box issues. So if you can get your groups to start asking questions, to find a way to make it okay for them to ask questions, especially now, like, again, they're leveling the playing field. And I love that Kelly supported you. She's like, I didn't know what it was either, right? You know, but you can tell your teams will immediately become back into the top 20% just by asking questions, and have them ask more questions. That's what I've seen, is especially now with disruption and uncertainty, either make questions or do what Sharva did, which is clarify. In our company culture, we have something that says, what I think I heard you say was, right? That's a key phrase. If you ever hear any of my teammates say that, they know that they are trying to clarify something, or they're trying to repeat back what I said to them, so that we're very clear, because the assignment I gave them is about a program. It's very critical. And so that's part of our company culture. What I think I heard you say is, anybody have anything that they're going to do differently based on this exercise? Anybody have anything that they would change doing online based on this exercise. Oh, and Kristen, we haven't heard from you. I know that you've been on mute, so I'd love to see if you have any opportunity. You can also say, you can unmute and say pass if you'd like to just pass. Kristen's scrambling for her unmute button. We'll come back to you, Kristen, if you have some comments. Okay, anybody else? Okay, let's go to Ariel.
Over the weekend, I was listening to a podcast about meetings, and they talked a lot about ways to organize meetings so that you don't waste time. And as I've been embracing virtual meetings, I've been trying to embrace some of the things they talked about. But I think the one thing that you touched upon that's super important is that the rules and the housekeeping portion of an in-person meeting may be unnecessary, but versus when it's virtual, it's important for the success of the conversation that's going to happen.
Say more, Ariel.
Pardon?
Say more if you don't mind.
Of course, of course. So there was a podcast that I was listening to, and they talked about how a lot of times when people hold meetings in person, they're a waste of time because somebody basically puts in an email what could have been put in an email, they put into a meeting format. And so rather than having any meaningful discussion, you're literally just talking about, oh, by the way, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that. But I think while that could be true in a face-to-face meeting, in a virtual situation, it's very important to take the time to go through the rules and some of those other housekeeping things that may seem redundant or unnecessary in a face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, perfect, Ariel. I got it now. So, and the other piece around here too is that it doesn't have to be this. This is just a model, and it's the one I use because I know it works for me. But you can also find what works for your company. Some companies are very cross-chatty, and they need to have that instantaneous kind of action. There's places where you can allow that as long as they do something, they acknowledge and not have two people talk over each other. You can see we kind of broke some protocol for some people because it was clear, like Sharva just, as long as she said her name, and if nobody else came around and was trying to speak at the same time, she just went ahead. And this is what people develop, that trust or a rhythm with each other. And I think that's really, really key. Kristen said her mic isn't working, but she does like leaving space for other people. I think leaving space for other people to talk is what she's trying to say. So with that, thank you so much for that. I hope that team building experience, while it's a very, very simple exercise, right? This is why I brought it to this virtual team building one, is because it symbolizes to me in a very short amount of time what it's like to work online and how handicapped you can be, how challenging. I think Kelly said it best, how frustrating it can be, but what happens when you have team success, like as you saw, W, X, Y, and Z, as you get to there, that you guys see that you're creating results and that there is the engagement, but most importantly, that success. That's really the morale that goes with it. I'm going to share some stats with you here too. So that's really around rhythm. Starting and ending the meeting exactly the same way is something on how you can create rhythm with your meetings, right? You can change the middle, or you can, have something similar, but having those endpoints, such as checking in or signing off, those are really key. Find a rhythm for sharing and solving information. I like to say you should bring your culture online. So if you have fun times, or if there's something around your culture that you do all the time, bring it online. And if there's something that's not working, then make new culture. I got a chance to visit Zappos last year, and those are the kings to me of making new culture. Sometimes you need to invent something online, and that's really what's going to help your rhythm inside of that. So, and yeah, so I'm going to do this piece. Sorry. So now I'm going to show you a trick that you can't see. This is one of the ways for you as a facilitator to keep track of what's going on. This is called a participation map. This was all the people who had registered for the class. These are all the people who actually logged in and had to go at different parts. What this allowed me to do was to see things like there, Bree, I know has checked in. I know she hasn't said something, but I'll give you the opportunity to say something before you leave. It also gave me the opportunity here that I knew that Kristen didn't have voice or chat, but I should check in with her. So really, I use this. You can do different pieces. You can just do time, but it's a participation map that really shows who's online. You can see here, I had actually alphabetized it here too. So it's very easy for me to find people by first name. And then it allows me to take notes as we go along. By the way, you can print this out and do this on paper too. But I actually developed this technique 20 years ago with Boeing when we started doing teleconferencings that were learning style pieces. So this participation map, I'll send you a copy of this one, can sometimes be one of the most important things that you have as a facilitator for making sure that there's equity online and that everybody's engaged. And yeah, nothing like calling out somebody, you know, who hasn't said anything for a while and they're like, wow, they're really paying attention. Well, okay, I'm back in. So that's the participation map. And, you know, and this really gets to the results. So now I get to compliment you too. Out of all my sessions, you guys have the fastest time to date for A to Z.
Really?
1 minute, 22 seconds. The previous record was 1 minute and 56 seconds. The first group actually took 6 minutes and 50 seconds to do it, just so you know the range. So Ariel, your leadership and your team's participation really made the difference. The last team was actually the Detroit team who had the fastest time, but somebody stalled in the middle. They lost track of where they were in the alphabet. Shava, you'll love this note too, is that a woman called in from Georgia, not the state, but Georgia, the country. And she was like, I had to go back online and check the American alphabet to make sure I knew it. So, you know, unique diversity and inclusion online, they're different than the ones that we used to have. Excellent. Hold on a second. I'm just going to peek at the chat room. Oh, how do we do this kind of thing with larger attendees? So that's something you can actually discover in my Virtual Team Building 2 class. There are some initiatives that we do that are really dependent on scale. This one obviously is not that good with 2,000 people, but I can tell you that I was testing Kahoot, K-A-H-O-O-T. It's an online quiz system, and that is capable for up to 2,000 simultaneously, and we have tested something close to that. So that's crazy, but it's really fun. So hopefully your results are online meetings. But again, like the result I hope you see is, one is that engagement, but that's morale. You want to have this, like when your team has success online like this, you'll be able to build on that onto, you know, the real work and the regular work. And you can see how it made you feel. Like, look, the fact that you guys have the fastest time, that's real. I'm showing you that. I'm actually going to start a leaderboard, by the way. So you guys will be at the top of it. But that's one of the ways that you can engage people. The ability to get work done under very challenging conditions, it's helping and leading your company, and it's for you as a leader, finding new ways to help. Each of you most likely are being asked to be leaders in your company. Even if you're not being asked, it is your ability to display that now. I think that's one of the key pieces, and so that's in results. So going back to our solution again, that's GRRR. So goals was the first one. Does anybody remember the second one? You can chat or unmute. What is the first R after G? Go, Ariel.
I know one of the R's is rules.
That's actually the next one. You nailed it. What's the next R after rules? Not Ariel. Anyone but not Ariel.
Rhythm.
Rhythm, said Kelly. She should know that. She's a singer. And the last R is?
Results.
Results. That's right. So look, I have successfully got you to remember something in 55 minutes. I should get a cookie for that. So one of the pieces around results, thank you so much, Ariel, is this, right? We're having to adapt, and times are changing, and so are we. This is a story about Canlis. This is a 4-star dining, fine dining restaurant here in Seattle. On March 6th, they were so adept and trying to predict what was going to happen. I mean, that seems like an eternity now. They said, we're shutting down our dining room and bringing our food to you. Fine dining is not what Seattle needs now. Instead, they did this. They have drive-through. It's a bagel shop. This is how they're creating jobs while feeding as much of Seattle as they can. At lunch, they have a drive-through with burgers, veggie melts, salads, and ice cream. And starting a couple days ago, they have a family meal delivered. I should order one because I should just see what this is going to be like. I've eaten at Canlis. It's amazing. But they have a home-cooked dinner, and this is the kicker, a bottle of wine. Yes, restaurants can now deliver liquor to your doorstep, right? And here's their result. The result really is this. This was a photo of yesterday. They had a line, they were blocking the street. Luckily, nobody's driving, so it's not an issue, but they had an issue here. And for the most part, everyone is practicing social distancing. They had media, they had press. Yesterday, their bagel shop sold out at 10:06 a.m. This is a story of adapting. It is possible. You can do it. And I would love to hear a story about your team doing it. So that's virtual team building. My ask for you only is that you ask others. If you got value out of this session, is to tell others. Virtualteambuilding.eventbrite.com. It's also the virtual team building site. I'll send it to you in an email after this program. But last but not least, we're going to get to the last word. And I know that somebody said, oops, somebody said that they had to leave. Kelly has to leave right at 1 o'clock, right? So Kelly, I'm going to give you the last word. So just share whatever that you thought, something that that you got from today's program. Go ahead, Kelly.
Last word. Thanks, John. I got to see your beautiful face again, which I love doing that. I loved meeting all of you from different sectors of the country and different sectors of industry, because no matter what we do, I love that we are all in this together. We are all trying to change and move forward in these times. So I just appreciated being with you all. I learned a couple new tips for my Zoom meetings, John. So thank you.
You're welcome, Kelly. If you haven't seen Bill Gates's message, as you can tell, I was a Microsoft employee. He sent out a key message, and it was some of his reflections. And some of those reflections is, wow, this is leveling, right? Virus doesn't care what race or age or whatever. So we're back on a level playing field if we could just only remember that every day. Thank you so much, Kelly, for tuning in. Who else would like to go next? Good. Sharva, go ahead. And see, now you'll realize I'm one of the most patient facilitators you'll ever meet. Go ahead, Sharva.
Love that. John, this was so good. Just as, if nothing else, a reminder about how to engage and connect and allow space. I love how Kristen said that, just leaving space for people. The other thing that came top of mind for me was psychological safety, and creating this virtual environment where it is okay to ask questions, to raise your hand, and also to think about the adaptive, or I should say the adaptiveness of the new, or what's for some of us is the new way of interacting and connecting with other people.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Psychological safety, Sharvi, you know that's so important, right? Google, when they did their Aristotle team research, said psychological safety is one of their top 5 factors for teams. Kristen says, thanks all. We'll definitely challenge some of the kiddos that we have in virtual competitions. Be well, everyone. So she had to say goodbye from Oregon. Darren, did I see you go next? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things I appreciate, John, about this is the pausing, right? So I think that's the biggest challenge with online is oftentimes we want to jump in and give the answers because we're afraid of that dead air. Yet in classroom, we're always taught like, hey, just let them kind of think about it and stuff like that. So I think a couple of those little things that you did that I picked up on, I was taking notes as we were going through this, is the pauses, letting us make those mistakes, and letting it run for a while. And then letting us have those discussions. So honestly, during the activities, there was minimal facilitation by your part because you gave us enough, and then let us come together, and do some of that work. So appreciate all those kinds of little things that you intertwine in these kinds of sessions.
Thank you so much, Darren. I really appreciate it. It's the theory we have in experiential education is a funny one. It's called "Let the inmates run the asylum." Right. And so by giving control back to you as a group at some point, I mean, that's really the key to engagement, is letting them, it's their content. Most of them are experts in it. And so letting them figure out how to approach it is really, really key. Thank you for that, Darren. Who else would like to go?
I'll go.
Thank you, Jen.
So I just want to thank you for this opportunity, and I feel more confident in leading my own team and eventually communicating out to our libraries.
Thank you so much, Jen. Really, honestly, you have no idea. You've made a personal impact on my life by this class. This class was a pivot. I had no idea. All we look for in these times is when you adapt, and that something actually catches on. This class has totally caught on, and it's really part of it is due to you. So thank you so much. Ariel or Ann?
Oh, thank you. No, this has been fantastic, and I want to thank you for allowing me to join. When we were chatting, I didn't know what to expect, and so this was a nice, now I understand, I kind of see what a lot of the stuff that we were talking about. So I'm excited, and there's a lot of things that we practiced today that I'm excited to implement as I get into doing webinars and that sort of thing.
Excellent. Thank you, Ariel. You know, this is very much like our experiential-based team building. We can talk about it till we're blue in face. I can even show you a video, but until you experience it yourself, you really don't know what it is. So thank you. I really, really appreciate that. And we're off to Anne. Anne, are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here. For me, it was just a very simple exercise using only what is available to us in the platform. Was incredibly engaging, and yeah, I didn't look away once. So it's got me thinking about what some other possibilities might be that we can kind of, you know, ground everybody in the workshop once we start that. So it was great.
I'm going to close with this, which is my closing word is I've had the opportunity to work with the grandparents of experiential learning. These are people who invented the ropes initiatives or that, you know, river crossing that you may have done in a team building event. And what they really showed me is that they looked at Home Depot and hardware stores in a completely different way about how they could take those elements and build team building initiatives that really could help the world collaborate and communicate with each other. And I've taken and built my work upon their shoulders using things that are in my world, which are chat and whiteboards and other types of things like that. So I really appreciate all of your feedback. It's honestly, it's something that's been giving me value and worth over the last 3 weeks when a lot of ourselves question what kind of work that we do. So I really thank you for that. And if you want more, you're going to get an invite to the level 2 class. It's every Wednesday in April. It's a limited group. You got to go through this one to get to the 2. And so I hope to see you there. And if not, thank you again. Stay safe. And I appreciate each of you. We'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.